The Samarth Assistive Devices Conclave 2024 was organized under the aegis of Samarth Initiative, which witnessed meaningful conversations about solutions and assistive devices that can significantly improve the lives of people with disabilities, making the world more accessible for everyone. Additionally, under the Samarth Assistive Devices program, Hyundai Motor India Foundation distributed 72 assistive devices to people with disabilities and pledged to distribute 684 such devices in 3 years, because accessibility is about creating a level playing field for everyone.
Today we're here at the Samarth Assistive Devices Conclave under the aegis of Samarth By Hyundai, which is a unique and transformative initiative dedicated to creating a more inclusive, a more equal society for all the people that may have disabilities. Now, through technology, partnerships, product innovations and storytelling, Samarth By Hyundai aims to help create a world which is more inclusive and barrier-free at its core. Today, the topic of our discussion is enabling inclusion through assistive devices and challenges that India faces in this field. Now, while inclusivity is crucial, access to assistive technology is alarmingly low, and you'll be surprised to know that the availability is as low as 3% in some regions. Now, this disparity underscores a substantial gap between assistive technology needs and the access to appropriate, high-quality and affordable services. Limited information on the met and unmet needs of assistive technology needs, uneven healthcare access, high cost, low production and poor awareness as well among the target population as well as the service providers drive this issue. The unmet need for AT is more acute in rural areas among the poorest and the elderly as well. So to discuss all of this, the challenges and the opportunities it presents, I have with me an esteemed panel, Mr. Vineet Saraiwala, the founder and CEO of Atypical Advantage, a visionary entrepreneur who's championing livelihood creation for people with disabilities. We have Mr. Arman Ali, the Executive Director of the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People, which is a prominent advocacy for the rights of people with disabilities. We also have with us Mr. Prateek Madhav, who is the co-founder and CEO of Assistive Foundation, and on my left side, Mr. Tarun Garg, the COO of Hyundai Motor India Limited, whose leadership drives the Samarth By Hyundai initiative. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here and for your time here. Tarun, let me start by asking you about Samarth By Hyundai initiative that you have, because, it's come a long way from starting conversations, about people with disabilities to highlighting the Samarth heroes, championing the blind cricket as well, and now you have this Samarth for Assistive, Devices Conclave that you've come about with. Tell us what the vision behind this, the idea behind this, and what you hope to achieve with it.
Thank you, Ritu, and of course, first and foremost, I'm so honored to be a part of this esteemed panel. You asked about the vision. Of course, we are driven by the Progress for Humanity vision. As HMC, that is our vision. As far as Samarth is concerned, it is extremely close to my heart, We started this journey in January, in November 23, with a very mega launch event where, 11 union ministers, state ministers, so many advocates for disabilities, they joined. And the whole idea was to create a conversation, about creating awareness and challenges that people with disabilities face. Past few months, through various discussion and events, we have tried to really create those conversations and highlight the stories of resilience, because we have always believed that, and like Dr. Mahantesh said, that this in the ability has to be removed. I think that is very, very touching. And we have tried to do that. And this conclave, our aim is to initiate conversations about solutions, because we believe at Hyundai, technology and innovation is at the core of what we do. It's a part of our DNA. And we believe that technology can be leveraged to create a barrier-free society. And thus the conclave came into being. The idea is to bring together the brightest and the most innovative minds in the space of assistive technologies on one platform, and of course work on evaluating problems and finding solutions. So of course, along with this, we'll take the platform to help empower people with disabilities with assistive devices under Samarth Assistive Devices program by Hyundai Motor India Foundation and of course Samarthanam Trust. I am humbled to say that we shall be distributing 684 devices in the next 3 years, So that is the plan, and we want to really make a beginning today by distributing 72 devices. Thank you.
What a wonderful initiative. Thank you very much for sharing that and setting the context for us. We certainly hope to initiate discussions and go much beyond that. But Vineet, just to set the context for our audience as well, we know, of course, there is a need for inclusive society, but how did you come about this idea of securing livelihood for people with disabilities with what you do at Atypical Advantage? Just take us briefly through your experience in this field, working with employers as well.
A lot of corporates did not want to hire people with disabilities due to several gaps, be it skilling, be it technology. So I saw this huge gap and I thought that someone needs to do something about it, and that is how I started Atypical Advantage to probably bridge the supply and demand side inefficiencies for people with disabilities. And now we have over 500 performers, 250 visual artists, close to 20,000 job seekers with disabilities. We have already worked with more than 250 plus large companies, positively impacting over 3,000 people with disabilities. I personally believe that unless we create livelihood, which is how Mahantesh also put it, right, that ultimately people with disabilities need to be taxpayers of this country. By not tapping them, I think we are losing on this wonderful potential of people with disabilities who can be empowered, upskilled using technology. And that was precisely the mission on why I started Atypical Advantage. Very proud to tell you, in fact, we have transferred more than 1 crore rupees to artists with disabilities, and they earned that money through dignified by doing shows and arts. So, yeah.
Well, Vineet, what a fabulous story. Thank you for sharing it with us, and may your pride grow and you continue to make a larger impact. Let me also turn to someone else who's had nearly 2 decades of experience in this field, Arman. Working in the NGO sector now with, the National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People. Just give us a sense for what your experience has been on the ground and the need for this, more inclusive society and the kind of work you're doing now with your NGO.
At NCPEDP, we are a 28 years old organization, and we have been leading the disability rights movement in India. Whether you talk about employment, education, accessibility, law, policy, we have led it from the front. Today you talk of the elections being accessible, we have led it. Now you talk about accessibility. We run an award, the Universal Design Award. This year is the 15th year. Just to put on record, if you look at the WHO global study on assistive technology, there is every 3rd person in the world needs an assistive device or a technology. That kind of makes 2.5 billion people. And by the time 2050, this number will go to 3.5 billion. So this is like, if you put it in crores, it is 250 crores to 350 crores is the kind of number we are looking at. And the challenges are immense in India, because India, being the most populous country in the world, also holds the highest number of people with disability in the world. And extremely inaccessible because of the large number of people we are. And also the fact that I must mention that assistive device and technology cannot be parachuted into something. It's the environment, the ecosystem which has to work and facilitate the entire process of a person. Like Vineet talked about livelihood, and education, and Tarun talked about the entire society being coming together. It just cannot be done with a product being given to a person. It also means services. It also means everybody. A
more holistic approach,
of course,
not just a product. But you've perfectly set the context for my next question to Prateek. Arman saying every 3rd person in the world needs some or the other kind of assistive technology. India, with the largest population, has also got the highest number of people with disabilities. So tell us what kind of potential you see in this sector for assistive technologies, and especially what kind of work can be done to encourage more innovation to make these devices more accessible, more affordable to a wider number of people that need them.
At ATF, Now we are working with 450 innovators and startups in the country who are building solutions for visual impairment, speech and hearing impairment, physical disability, and a lot of invisible disabilities as well. They are the entrepreneurs not just from tier 1 town. We are seeing innovations coming in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 town as well. There are people with disabilities themselves who are saying, I'm not only going to solve problems for myself, I'm going to solve this problem for millions of others. There are 2 billion, like Aman said, there are 2 billion assistive technology that is required by 2030. Who's building that? We are not going to solve that problem. We are not going to go build these innovations by looking at 14th century solution. We have to look forward. The same tech which is helping you and me enjoy this OTT, order food, travel independently, is the same tech innovation has to help people with disability. But I'm happy to share that so much innovation is happening in the country. In fact, we have also established a global network with 10 other countries, and through that we have access to 1,200 startups across the world. I think those are the innovators, those are the startups whom we need to promote and bring them to life.
Tarun, let me ask you, we've heard from Arman about the scale of the problem, we've heard from Prateek about the kind of opportunity in the market that this presents. Just tell us the role of technology itself in solving some of these problems for the disabled people, and what are some of the emerging forces that are shaping this field?
So Ritu, I think technology is a great enabler, I think, and it's a key to creating a barrier-free world, and we saw Prateek really giving some great examples. I think in the assistive space also, technology is evolving at a very fast pace. For example, one of the devices that we are distributing today is a new motion, and basically a wheelchair that turns into an electric scooter. So basically just imagine the mobility and the confidence it provides to a person with disability, especially the locomotor disability. I think similarly, we'll be also distributing devices like AI-enabled smart vision glasses that will help people with vision impairment recognize things around, read, assist in walking, facial recognition, so many more things. I think there are technologies available that can help make life of people with disabilities easier. But what is the challenge? I think the challenge is to really create awareness about these technologies. And also, I think with the power of Hyundai and of course so many others who are innovating like Prateek, how to reduce the cost. I think in India, unless we really increase the affordability, I think the reach will always be an issue. So I will really request so many bright minds today in this room, let us see what all we can do to really make these devices affordable. Because otherwise it will all be limited to, just doing for few people, because then the budgets will become a constraint. So I think we need to really, if we want to really sustain it, if we want to really scale it up, then we need to really work in that direction as well.
Drive innovation for affordability.
Absolutely, because the whole idea is accessibility for all. And like he said, and I really liked it, I don't know, 26 million people or 80 million, and even, like he mentioned that why 300,000 people taking an inclusivity pledge? Why not 3 million? Why not 30 million? Why not 300 million? Why not each and every one in the country really joining this movement? I think we can really make a big difference. Thank you.
Well, and let me bring the focus back on India, Prateek, because, for a country like India, again, as Arman was saying, the opportunity is huge and so are the challenges. How can India really lead the way? What kind of innovative solutions can come out of India, and what are the challenges that are unique to this market, and what are your solutions to overcome some of those, given that you work with a lot of startups as well that are coming up with these innovative ideas?
I'm telling folks who are including investors, corporate, a lot of folks outside India, that if there is one trend 10 years back, you would look back, you would have missed out, is the whole innovation in assistive technology. And just a minor point before I go to your question, Ritu, is when you talk about assistive technology, we are not only talking about people with disabilities. We're talking about a huge market of elderly population as well. So we have to really broaden up when we have a conversation of assistive technology and not get limited to one section of population. But coming to your question, I think, like I said, 15 years back, if I were to invite entrepreneurs and innovators who are doing assistive technology work, I think this stage was enough. Yeah? But today, if you have to do a conclave, believe me, this hotel or probably several of them are not enough. I think that's the power of India innovating today. We are not just innovating to make people's lives simpler, we are also innovating for the future. So how about, and I'll give you a few examples, add to Tarun what you said. We have an entrepreneur who's using AR, VR to help kids with autism learn better. Yeah, it's gamified AR handset, and based on the feedback of eye movement and expression, we are able to change the content. Imagine the power of increase in learning which these kids will have. We are talking to somebody in Netherlands, and he's building a virtual assistant called Moxie. And what Moxie does, it's an enhanced companion for you. Moxie is talking to this kid with autism continuously, trying to self-learn. It's an AI ML algorithm, and he's able to have that conversation which a special therapist will have. Increase in learning, increase in conversation, increase in eye contact. And I think this is happening 24/7 because some of the tech and robots won't get tired. They won't not say no to the repeated questions you would have. And I think that's where all this is happening, several of the startups in India. Now, how is the ecosystem looking like you asked? We're talking about 450 innovators, not just in one disability or across all innovations as well. The fact that we are able to make this technology work for Indian and Indian conditions, which means affordable, the world is open for us as well.
Well, yes, make in India, make for the world. That has been the theme for most of the startups coming out of India. And of course, that is the ambition and agenda. But Arman, let me take that conversation forward with you about the India market. Now there are figures that state that the penetration of assistive devices as low as 3%. But where do you think the key critical challenges are that need to be bridged, whether that is on the demand side, on the awareness, or even on the supply side?
The challenges are immense, Ritu, okay? And the biggest problem is that we don't address the elephant in the room. Now, affordability. Tarun talked about affordability. Awareness. Acute lack of awareness, and there's so much of stigma. The wheelchair is associated with stigma. It is associated with inability. A wheelchair or any device, for that matter, is a great enabler. Without this wheelchair, I would not be here. Everyone is using something. Vineet is using some technology. So many people in the room with disability or without disability are using. So first, there is a need to be awareness. Second, looking at disability as a good-to-do charity needs to go away. India is a vast country, and majority of disabled people live in the rural area. So the solutions has to be for them. As I mentioned about an ecosystem, affordability. My wheelchair cost 4.5 lakh rupees. It is the only wheelchair in the country which is insured, and it takes about 7-8 months for you to find out. A bicycle can get insured. A mobile phone gets insured, a TV can get insured, and so many other appliances people are insuring, but you cannot insure a assistive technology. So these ecosystems cannot work in silos. If you talk about assistive technology, there's a cost involved. So if you have an insurance, you meet with an accident, somebody, and if you need to buy some assistive, the insurance covers for all that. But for health insurance in India, it doesn't cover assistive devices. Assistive device is the extension of your body. It enables you to do whatever you want to do. So that ecosystem, government's looking at EDIP scheme. It's huge, one of the biggest schemes in the world, which is distributing free aids and appliances to disabled people. There are issues there. It is once in 5 years you can get one assistive device. So if you get something and then it doesn't work for the next one, you have to wait for 5 years. People with disability need to find out solutions in terms of their own need and also the environment that they are in.
What are some of your suggestions to companies that may be listening into our viewers later? What are some of the enablers that they can put in place that will ensure a more inclusive society for all, help people with disability?
for a lot of companies, they don't prioritize digital accessibility, and when they don't prioritize digital accessibility, a lot of people with visual impairment cannot work in their organizations. Very simple thing, and again, it's not about cost, right? Like everyone has the right to work and access livelihood opportunities.
All right. Tarun, we've spoken a lot about what companies can do, but for corporates like yourself, just give us a sense of what you're doing to ensure that this assistive devices, this is more easily accessible to those who need it. What are some of the policies that you as a corporate are putting in place?
If I talk about Hyundai, and Vineet made a very good point about digital assistive. I think this is something which we miss. But at Hyundai, I'm very proud to say that even our website is accessible and has been designed in a way that it is for physically challenged people and various kind of disabilities. So this is something which is probably globally it could be very common, but in India it is not really seen. So I think this is something which we have been able to do. And we don't only look at our own company, but even our showrooms and workshops, 98.6% of my showrooms and workshops today are wheelchair enabled. And I believe very strongly that it is not the disability that disables people, but the environment. And I think our effort together should be to create a very, very inclusive environment. I think if we are able to do that, half the battle is already won. Thank you.
And I hope you don't remain the exception, that more and more corporates implement these kind of policies. Thank you very much, all of you, for sharing your thoughts. Tarun, Arman, Prateek, Vineet, it's been a pleasure speaking with all of you, and I hope our audience and our viewers will have a lot to take away. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.